Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Friday evening, September 20, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak of Atlantic hurricane season, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Leave a comment down below, let me know what that's been like in your ear recently. Also, feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at tropical and subtropical cyclone points of origin and tracks. We're basically looking right here at these sparkling yellow dots in general that show where we've had tropical systems, whether it's a tropical storm or a subtropical storm forming within the time frame from September 21 to September 30. And this is based on data from 1943 to 2023 in the Pacific side right here, and based on data from 1851 to 2023 in the Atlantic side right here. And we can see that we have numerous points of origin right here across the main development region, right here across the Caribbean, especially the Western Caribbean. Look at all of these yellow dots, not to mention the Gulf of Mexico and the southwestern Atlantic right here to the north of the Bahamas. And considering that today is September 20, it makes sense to be looking at the next 10 days from September 21 to September 30 in general. So we better be on the lookout, especially across the Western Caribbean, where the hurricane center has something highlighted and there's a lot of moisture associated with the system that could be affecting Jamaica as we head into early next week. If we also take a look at the typical tracks where these systems actually move towards, we see across the main development region, maybe passing to the north of the Caribbean, heading into maybe, if not the southeastern United States, curving out to sea, some of them into the Caribbean, into Central America, as well as into the Gulf of Mexico in the southern Gulf states of the United States right there. As it relates to the Atlantic hurricane and tropical storm activity, based on data from 1944 to 2020, we're definitely past the peak of hurricane season right now, heading into the last 10 days. So we're somewhere right here. We're starting to fall down the hill for sure. In terms of activity, we see hurricane activity as represented by the yellow colors. We also see hurricane and tropical storm activity in the red color. So we passed the climatological peak at September 10. We're just 10 days past September 10. And we see that activity is still going to be possible as we head into October and then as we wrap up November in general. So we still have to be on the alert until we finish the year entirely. As it relates to the sea surface temperature anomalies, this map is showing how warm the surface or the skin of the ocean is, and we can see all of this being represented by the yellows, the oranges, the reds. Look at all of these reds right here across the northern portions of the Pacific. Look at all of these oranges right here across the eastern Pacific, the Caribbean, and the main development region right here. Just for reference, we have Jamaica right here, Hispaniola, and there's a lot of warm water in our neck of the woods for sure. So it's only a matter of time before things start to get very busy. Weather is definitely gonna be a big topic as we wrap up this hurricane season for sure. Lots of systems starting to form in the coming weeks. We can also see across the eastern to the central Pacific, that the La Nina is starting to come in nicely. La Nina has to do with the opposite of El Nino in general. We're just coming out of an El Nino where we have a lot of warm water across the eastern to the central Pacific that causes even more rising air across those regions, more thunderstorms becoming tropical depressions, if not tropical storms and hurricanes, thus causing a lot of wind shear that tears the tops of these thunderstorms off across the Atlantic, the Caribbean in general, limiting the development. But for some time, ever since burial days, we've been in a neutral state. We're starting to get into the La Nina, but that hasn't been officially declared yet by the NOAA as yet. That's the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. And we know when we have a La Nina in place, conditions are even more conducive for development across the Atlantic in general. Little to no wind shear, and the focus is on the Atlantic in terms of the rising air in general. But we've had burial under a neutral condition phase, so we can still get some more systems under neutral conditions as well, and it's even gonna be more conducive for development as we head into the La Nina. If we also take a look at the ocean heat content, this map right here is showing how warm the waters are. The deeper we go into the ocean, we can see how warm they are, as represented by the yellows, oranges, and the reds. And look at all of these reds in and around the Greater Antilles, around Haiti, around Cuba, the Cayman Islands, and Jamaica. This ocean heat content, trust me, the ocean heat and the sea surface temperatures have a lot to do with the hot air in general that we've been experiencing. Definitely feeling the heat. Trust me, if we've been experiencing even more of these blues across the Atlantic around our neck of the woods, it wouldn't have been this hot, I assure you. But the ocean heat has a lot to do with our air temperature in general. Either way, this map showing the sea surface temperatures, showing the skin of the ocean and how warm it is, this came out on September 19. This map right here came out today, September 20. And the thing about the ocean heat content, yes, it's about how warm the waters are at a greater depth. And if we have some systems stalled out across this warm water, they might just overachieve, bringing more in the way of, if not rainfall, but even more, longevity, maybe strengthening even more in general. So we definitely have to pay close attention just in case something tries to take advantage of all of this very warm ocean heat. Alright, so on another note, let us take a look at some expert insights. If you don't know who this is Ben Noel. He's a meteorologist at the National Institute of Water and Atmospheric Research in New Zealand. And from time to time, he makes some accurate posts about the Atlantic hurricane season for sure. I remember in June, he actually posted a similar map to what I'm about to show that predicted the rising air that was expected. And it was this rising air that brought us burial in general. And we might just get in on something similar in the coming weeks. According to what Ben Noel posted, by the way, he made this post at 6:57 a.m. on September 19, yesterday. He stated here, the Atlantic looks quite favorable from a convective forcing perspective in the weeks ahead. A pulse of the Madden-Julian oscillation is forecast to cross from the eastern Pacific into the Caribbean next week, creating favorable environmental conditions for tropical cyclone genesis. And what is he talking about? Madden-Julian oscillation. He's basically talking about rising air. And he's saying that this pulse of rising air that we know causes a lot of thunderstorms and then causes these thunderstorms to easily develop into tropical depressions, if not tropical storms. It is expected to move from the eastern Pacific into the Caribbean next week. Today is September 20. Next week is only 1 or 2 days away, if I'm not mistaken. So it's only a matter of time before that system that the Hurricane Center is watching, or that area of interest that the Hurricane Center is watching across the Western Caribbean, starts to do its thing. We have to stay close, or we have to pay close attention to see exactly what unfolds. According to Benoit States, Mexico will need to watch this situation closely, as will residents of the Gulf Coast of the US is referring to, particularly during the last several days of the month. It goes without saying at this point, but the level of ocean heat in the Caribbean and parts of the Gulf are exceptional, offering a high maximum potential storm intensity. However, the exact shock of any such system is not known at this point, and it is too early to speculate on exactly where an impact would occur. The pattern looks highly moisture laden, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it result in another swath of record-breaking atmospheric moisture for the time of year. Given the favorable nature of the pattern, it's quite possible that several tropical systems develop concurrently. Stay tuned. So this is what he's referring to. The rising ear as represented by the green colors and the dark blue colors. The sinking ear we know is represented by the oranges and the greens within those oranges. And we're going to be going out in time starting right here at September 20 to September 27. We can see that the rising ear is already across the eastern Pacific, as we can see by these blues and darker shades of blues. It's also already across the western Caribbean and the southern Gulf of Mexico. And if we go back and look, we can actually see this taking shape. Let's zoom out a little. So for reference, we can see Mexico right here, Central America, all the way down into Colombia. And we can definitely see a lot of moisture. Look at all of these thunderstorms as represented by the yellows, oranges, and reds across the eastern Pacific. And we can also see something starting to get its act together right there to the south and west of Jamaica. Jamaica is right here. You can definitely see a lot of thunderstorms right there to the east of Nicaragua, to the east of Honduras, to the southwest of Jamaica in general. And there's definitely a trough somewhere in there. And we can also see the upper level winds, the high cold clouds being pushed off towards Jamaica, starting to moisten up our atmosphere in general. So this is just the beginning. It's Friday, and the forecast models have been trending to an increase in moisture and rainfall across Jamaica as we head into the early part of next week, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So we definitely need to pay close attention to what's unfolding. But let's go back to what Ben Noll is saying. So the rising air should be across this portion of the basin from September 20 to September 27. Then as we head into September 27 to October 4, the rising air is even more robust, the darker blues across the western Caribbean, the Gulf of Mexico, into the central and possibly the eastern Caribbean, northern South America also in the mix. Then as we head to October 4 to October 11, we still have the rising air across the Caribbean, the Atlantic in general, some of it even across Africa and the Indian Ocean right there. So all of this, as we can see, is propagating just like what Ben Noll stated, from west to east. So the rising air is going to be a factor. More thunderstorms, more tropical waves, more troughs, more areas of low pressure, easily finding it, not that hard to become maybe a tropical depression or a storm. Either way, you have to pay close attention to see what occurs, and I'll definitely be here to keep you posted as time goes on. We also have another post here from Andy Hazelton. He's also another one of those persons on Twitter. If you're not already following them, you need to. These are the experts in general. He actually works at the NOAA. He's an associate scientist there, and from time to time he makes some accurate posts about the hurricane season on his platform as well. He stated on his latest post that just came out at 6:58 a.m. this morning, maybe a little bit of convergence between GEFS and EPS. We know those are the global ensemble models, GEFS being the models under the global forecast systems, that's the GFS, and the EPS being the models under the Euro, that's the ECMW. So he stated maybe a little bit of convergence between GFS or EPS for development near or just east of the Yucatan by the middle of next week, lifting north into the Gulf. Fewer ensemble members doing the extreme solutions of rapid Caribbean development are shoved far south over the Bay of Campeche. Still a wide variety of potential steering and intensity outcomes. We can see the numerous spaghetti models right here regarding what he's referring to. This is basically the same system that the Hurricane Center is watching. This is basically the same code orange as of 1:55 p.m. Let's see if we reload to see if the latest is out. Alright, so there we have it. It's still a code orange. As a matter of fact, we just bumped up from 50% to 60% if you saw that. So we see this one just coming out at 7:35 p.m. and it's basically highlighting the same thing that Andy just pointed out. The numerous spaghetti models regarding the system, possibly pushing north or northwestward into the Yucatan Peninsula, maybe into the southern Gulf, or maybe northward into the eastern Gulf of Mexico. We'll see exactly what unfolds with this. We see both the ensemble models showing the spaghetti plots. Not really sure, but we see a wide range that is going to be anywhere across the Gulf of Mexico, hopefully. Either way, wherever it goes, it is not as strong as predicted, and it doesn't really do much damage in general. We don't want that at all. Alright, so back to the Hurricane Center. We still have those areas of interest right there to the northeast of the Caribbean, both with a 10% chance of cyclone formation within the next 7 days. Doesn't look like it's going to be happening anytime soon. If it was, there would have been some code reds in general. And we know the next name on the list is Helene, so clearly the one in orange that has the 60% chance, the medium chance of development, has the higher chance of becoming Helene very soon. According to the Hurricane Center, a broad area of low pressure could form by the early to middle part of next week over the northwestern Caribbean Sea. Thereafter, gradual development of this system is possible, and a tropical depression could form as the system moves slowly to the north or northwest over the northwestern Caribbean Sea and into the southern Gulf of Mexico through the end of next week. And we see that they've given it a 0% chance of cyclone formation within the next 48 hours. That's the next 2 days. And as stated, a 60% chance of cyclone formation within the next 7 days. So we need to pay close attention to see exactly what unfolds. If we take a look at what the supercomputer model's latest updates are showing, this map from the Euro is showing the 12Z run that just came out midday today, or mid-afternoon if I'm not mistaken. We're just going to be looking right here at the timestamp. We're just going to be going out to the next 168 hours. And we're going to be focusing our attention on the Western Caribbean, the Southern Gulf, the Southeastern Gulf. In and around Jamaica, we see Jamaica right here. So pay close attention to see what happens. We're looking for this on the right. All the greens, yellows, oranges, reds, that represent the moisture increase associated with this system, to show that regardless of development, regardless of it making landfall in Jamaica, we're still going to be getting in some amount of rainfall from this system. And we're going to be seeing over the next 7 days what the Euro is showing, then we're going to be seeing what the GFS is showing. So as we go to the next 168 hours, for sure, by 12Z on Sunday, when calculated that's about 7 a.m. on Sunday, we can already see the moisture plaguing anywhere from Haiti all the way across into Jamaica, into the southern or southwestern Caribbean, the western Caribbean, stretching all the way across the Yucatan, Belize, Honduras, Nicaragua for sure. 7 a.m. on Sunday, that is, and tomorrow is just Saturday. Then as we continue, look at that, even by 18th on Sunday, we still have a lot of moisture across Jamaica. If this is not a lot of overcast skies, it could be a lot of rainfall for sure. We even see some yellows, some slight yellows right there across western Jamaica. We'll see how that goes as we continue to go out in time. We see still some of this rainfall into Monday. Look at this. This is 12Z on Monday. When calculated, that's about 7 a.m. on Monday. And we see the dark greens, the yellows right there across Jamaica. And as we continue to go out in time, Tuesday still has a lot of rainfall. 12Z on Tuesday, which is actually 7 a.m. on Tuesday, still has rainfall from Jamaica into the Cayman Islands, sections of the Yucatan Peninsula, Belize, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua. Definitely getting lashed, and trust me, with the rainfall over the next couple of days that's expected, and it's going to be continuing over a 3-day time period, flash flooding is definitely possible. As we head into Wednesday, now we start to see more of that rainfall, maybe across Cuba, the Yucatan Peninsula, heading more into the Gulf of Mexico, seeing more whites than anything else across Jamaica as we head into Wednesday. So I guess that's when the system should push off, maybe to the west of us. Then by the end of the 168 hours, the system is right there as a broad airflow pressure somewhere across the Gulf of Mexico. As a matter of fact, look at this. We can already see some moisture already to take place across the eastern to the central Caribbean. Who knows, maybe some of this might affect us later on. We're not going to be going out past 168 hours because we know Some of these models are showing another system in store, and we know these models go, they show one thing now, and then another time in the next 6 hours when we have the update, we have another thing being shown. So we're not gonna be going out that far. Let's follow what the Hurricane Center has been showing just the next 168 hours, just the next 7 days, so that we don't get into trouble having persons wondering if there's a hurricane coming in the next 10 or so days. Alright, so let us take a look at what the GFS model is showing. So keep your eye on the timestamp, keep your eyes on this area right here, the Caribbean, the Western Caribbean, the Gulf. Just for reference, Jamaica is right here again. So as we go out in time, we start to see that by 12Z on Sunday, which is actually 7 a.m. on Sunday, we see the moisture across Jamaica right here, the greens continuing. By Monday 12Z, we still have the greens that represent the moisture across Jamaica. Look at that heavy moisture right there off to the southwest of the island, as represented by the yellows, the oranges, and the reds for sure. Even into Tuesday, we still have a lot of rainfall to receive. The heaviest of it should be right there off to the west of the island, as represented by those yellows, oranges. And look at this, even into Wednesday, the GFS still has the moisture across portions of Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, Cuba, the Yucatan Peninsula. And remember, the Euro had more of the moisture across maybe Central America into the Gulf by that time. So clearly some differences. By Thursday now, we're starting to see a let up with more whites across Jamaica. This is 6Z on Thursday, which is actually 1 a.m. We'll see how that goes. Then by Friday, we see what's taking place. Something right there, possibly strong developing and coming close to the southern United States. And this is as of the next 168 hours. This is 18th on Friday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Friday. And we definitely see the differences. The Euro has the system more so across the southwestern Gulf, with some moisture from the eastern to the central Caribbean. The GFS does have the moisture across the eastern to the central Caribbean, but not as much as what the Euro was showing. Euro had more batches of moisture. GFS has bits and pieces here and there with whites in between, represented to no rainfall. And regarding the system, we see a stronger system heading towards the United States. And we know the usual theme, the stronger systems tend to want to go north because they feel the effects of the troughs pulling them north. The weaker systems have more low-level clouds, so they want to move within the lower levels of the atmosphere, being steered by high pressure to the west as usual. Either way, lots of moisture in the forecast, and we can see that both the Euro and the GFS models are still holding strong with their forecast. We can see Jamaica right here, and we can see all the moisture associated with this system that's expected. All of the reds and the burgundies that represent 1 inch to 2 inches of rainfall, the purples, the pinks, all the way up into the blues, that represent anywhere from 3 all the way up to 12 inches of rainfall in some spots across Central America, as well as the waters to the west of Jamaica. And we see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus with the rainfall increase. Clearly the GFS on this latest update is showing a lot more of these purples, especially across southern Jamaica, that represents all the way up to 3 inches of rainfall. That's just ridiculous. And the thing is, these forecasts are not set in stone. It could be a case where Jamaica gets even more rainfall than we see right here, or it could be a case where Jamaica gets less rainfall than we see right here. We know how these trough systems can be. They can definitely cause an abundance of flooding at one point, or most of the moisture could be off in the sea for sure. We have to take these forecasts with a grain of salt, but what we're sure about is that there's going to be an increase in rainfall over the next week. So if you're going out next week, for sure, ensure that you have your rain gear. If we take a look here at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see that we still have that trough right here across the Bahamas into portions of Cuba to the south of Florida right there. We can see that we still have the areas of low pressure. Those are the code yellows that the Hurricane Center is watching for a possible tropical cyclone development. And if we take a look back at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can still see the clouds associated with the trough bringing overcast sky showers and thunderstorms to portions of Cuba, the Bahamas as well. the clouds associated with the systems that the hurricane center is watching. One spinning right there, the other spinning right there. There's a lot of wind shear in the upper levels of the atmosphere right here due to troughing, which explains why these systems are struggling. Trust me, if they were in somewhere here, maybe south, they could, possibly develop. Who knows? Let us take a look at what was predicted in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today. It was stated that we would have received some afternoon rainfall across sections of some northern and western parishes in Jamaica. First of all, we know northern parishes, we're talking about those parishes on top, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. While western parishes, I know we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, and Trelawney. And what ended up happening? As early as 3:15 p.m., the visible satellite image was posted at around that time here on our Twitter page. By the way, keep in mind that these posts aren't only made here on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica, but they're also made on our Instagram page at weather.jamaica, on our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So the visible satellite image was posted at around 3:15 p.m. and we saw the clouds bring some overcast skies, if not some isolated showers, if not some isolated thunderstorms across portions of some northern and western parishes. More so northern parishes than anything else. Maybe northern Westmoreland, sections of Hanover definitely got in on the thunderstorm activity. We can see the sparkling yellow dots that we know indicate the lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. Some of these clouds across portions of St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, Western Portland for sure. And if we take a look back at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we can see exactly what unfolded. Most of the clouds were definitely confined to affect northern Jamaica than anywhere else. St. Mary, St. Anne, section of St. James, section of northeastern Westmoreland, eastern Hanover. For sure, we definitely got in on some of that isolated shower activity, if not some isolated thunderstorms. As a matter of fact, we can see the isolated thunderstorms even better on the infrared satellite images that show the high cold cloud tops as represented by the blues, greens, yellows, oranges right there. And we can see the sparkling white dots that we know represent some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. So they definitely got in on some brief isolated afternoon thunderstorms across northern and western parishes for sure today. And across the flat bridge in St. Catherine, as expected, St. Catherine is a southern parish. Didn't get in on much in the way of bad weather at all. Definitely dry for the most part, windy as we can see here. People and vehicles going about their business. This is as of the live stream on See Jamaica's YouTube channel at around 2:28 p.m. Don't see much in the way of bad weather at all. By the way, keep in mind that if you'd like to see more live streams like this, just visit See Jamaica's YouTube channel. They also have live streams of the Kingston Harbor, Barbican, Halfway Tree, Crossroads, the panoramic city view, you name it. And they're planning on expanding the cameras in and around the island. So just subscribe from now so that you don't miss out on these live streams. If we also take a look at the accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website, that's the CIMH, we can see the rainfall that took place across portions of the northern section of the islands, the section of Western Cuba, St. Mary's, section of St. Anne, section of Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, and Westmoreland for sure. And usually these accumulated maps from the CIMH isn't 100% accurate, but it does paint quite the picture of where we had the rainfall today for sure. We're leaving the southern areas dry and hot with all of these whites. And if we take a look at the very latest infrared satellite image that just came out as of 35 minutes past the hour. So given that the time is now 7:46 p.m., this just came out at 7:35. This is showing that we don't even have much in the way of cloud cover. Just some of the high cold cloud tops streaming off from whatever is taking place across the waters to the east of Central America right now. You can definitely see all of this pushing across. Just some high clouds, not anything drastic in terms of rainfall. We can definitely see the wind shear pushing them off towards the northeast. Definitely fair weather for the most part across Jamaica tonight. And if we take a look at the very latest Cuban Doppler radar images, we can see the very latest image that just came out at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 7:30 p.m. Jamaica time. First of all, look at all of this heavy rainfall lashing portions of northeastern Cuba as we speak. We can also see some rainfalls represented by the yellows right there between Haiti and Jamaica. We can also see some rainfall right there to the south of Jamaica, some isolated spots of rainfall right there to the west. Some rainfall, as a matter of fact, right there to the northwest of St. James. Some rainfall as well across portions of Westmoreland as we speak. Maybe Negril getting on some isolated showers right now. And if we take a look at the Guantanamo Bay Cuban military radar, we can see some isolated showers. That rainfall that we just saw on the other Cuban Doppler radar right there to the northwest of the western peninsula of Haiti. You can also see that rainfall that we mentioned across northeastern Cuba right there. Some heavy rainfall for sure, as represented by those darker greens and the yellows. If we take a look at what's happening on the Cayman radar out west, let's reload these images so that we have the very latest. So we can see that we have some rainfall right there to the south and west of the Cayman Islands. All of this moisture is setting the stage for what's to come this weekend into early next week. Lots of rainfall for sure. But right now, across Jamaica, across Kingston Harbor, the latest 7:47 p.m. Not much taking place. Definitely gonna be a fair night for us in the corporate area. If we take a look at the temperatures right now, we can tell 27 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 28 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 4 a.m. on Saturday, temperature should dip down to about 25 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 26 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look here at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is showing 18Z on Saturday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Saturday. And we can see Jamaica right here. Let's circle it right here. Embedded in some yellows and some slight gold colors, maybe some slight orange colors. This is only indicative of maybe up to 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. First of all, we know the normal temperatures for the month of September are close to 90 degrees Fahrenheit right here. September, 90 degrees Fahrenheit. That's almost the same as 32.2 degrees Celsius when calculated. So given the 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperature rise for tomorrow, Jamaica should be receiving anywhere from 32 to 34 degrees Celsius at most for on Saturday. So please ensure that you stay hydrated as much as possible. Drink lots of water. Limit this strenuous activity during the hottest parts of the day. Please ensure that you check in on others, especially the elderly, and eat lots more fruits than anything else. Salads, maybe apples, grapes, you name it. It's definitely healthy. If we take a look here at the Saharan, this forecast for 2 p.m. on Saturday, we can see the entire Caribbean in general in the clear. Jamaica right here in the clear. We can see some of these brown colors that represent the Saharan dust right here across portions of the eastern main development region. Nothing significant at all. We're indeed grateful for that. Keep all of the dust in the Sahara for sure. We don't need our asthma or sinusitis to be acting up at all at this point. If we take a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we can see that both the Euro and the GFS model still in consensus that we're going to be receiving those lighter shades of blues to darker shades of blues, stretching from the Gulf of Mexico into the Western Caribbean, the Central and Eastern Caribbean. That will represent anywhere from 0.5 meter wave height all the way up to 1.5 meter wave heights. And that's because, for the most part, we're going to be getting in on those bluish colors, if not those slight dull green colors that represent anywhere from 5 to 10 knots, maybe even gusting to 15 knots. We see the general direction, maybe if not southeasterly, maybe an east-southeasterly kind of flow across the Caribbean for sure for Saturday. And if we take a look at the close-up of Jamaica in terms of where the winds are expected, we can definitely see that southeasterly, if not east-southeasterly flow across the island for sure for tomorrow. That only leaves the possibility for some of that air to be piling up across northern and western Jamaica. Again, the pattern is stuck. Portions on the southern portion of the island have been crying. Why is it always the north coast This is because of the winds in general. The winds have a lot to do with it. And tomorrow we still have the same pattern. All of the air is going to be piling up across northern Jamaica. That's where we have the least amount of winds. That's where we're going to be having those cumulus clouds becoming mid-level rain clouds, if not upper level cumulonimbus clouds across these very areas. And the upper level wind shear is also in favor of northern Jamaica, bringing those high cold cloud tops off towards the northeast, as we can see, all courtesy of the trough that's in place. We see the winds coming in from the northeast right there in the western portion of the trough, coming in from the southwest across the eastern portion of the trough for sure. So that's just the order of things for now, but it's gonna change, and we're gonna be getting in on some rainfall, especially on the south coast, as we continue into the early part of the week. But as it relates to tomorrow's forecast, we can see that this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both valid for 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 3 p.m. Jamaica time, and we definitely see the consensus for more rainfall in the blues across northern and western parishes. So anywhere from western Portland, St. Mary, St. Andrew, Lonnie, St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, northern St. Elizabeth, who knows, maybe even portion of northern St. Andrew might get on some of the afternoon rainfall. You are showing the blues that represent rainfall across western and northern Jamaica as well. Even as we head all the way up into 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 6 p.m. Jamaica time, we still are making out some blues that represent rainfall. We'll see exactly what unfolds. Sometimes by the evening time, most of the activity has died down, but we see some consensus for some rainfall across northern Jamaica. You are showing some rainfall across the waters to the south of the island, especially right there across maybe eastern St. Thomas. JFS not so much. Most of that rainfall is far south of the island in a way. Either way, we can see that both the Euro and the GFS malls are definitely in consensus with where the rainfall is expected tomorrow. Well, they're in consensus that there's gonna be rainfall somewhere across Jamaica tomorrow. We can see that this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing where it's gonna be raining from now up until 3 on Sunday. That's all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Saturday when calculated. We do see the greens, the yellows that represent anywhere from 0.2 of an inch all the way up to 0.3 of an inch of rainfall across western and northern Jamaica for sure on the Euro. GFS even more robust across the northern portion of the island, and we see all the way up to 0.26 of an inch of rainfall, especially across the northeast. Either way, we'll take it. We're in the month of September. We're in our rainy season's peak. In Kingston, whose bar graph is being shown here at the top, we usually receive close to 100 millimeters of rainfall. That's almost 4 inches of rainfall for the month of September. In Montego Bay, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the bottom, we usually receive close to 7 inches of rainfall. That's almost 175 millimeters of rainfall for the month of September. We'll definitely take it. We definitely need the rainfall to cool down these temperatures, not necessarily to cause flooding or cause anyone to be washed away or anything like that. We just need the cool temperatures. We can't stand the heat at all. And it's only a matter of time before we head into October, the wettest month of the year. And clearly, the atmosphere is setting the stage for that. The rising air, the MGO, all of that setting the stage for a very wet October. Hopefully, I'm not jinxing it right now. Hopefully, we actually do get the rainfall to cool down these temperatures for sure. By the way, keep in mind that if you'd like to see a bar graph like this showing your specific parish, you can visit weatherandclimate.com. And regarding the rainfall on the rain gauge, we know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall. So you can use this graphic right here to do the math yourself. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we have a lot of moisture associated with the system that the Hurricane Center is watching, already starting to ramp up with the activity across the southwestern Caribbean, the western Caribbean, portions of the Bahamas, Cuba still being plagued by that trough, the swirly right there, and the other swirly to the east of it that the Hurricane Center is watching. Lots of moisture right there associated with the intertropical convergence zone, where we know the winds from the northern hemisphere meet the winds from the southern hemisphere, and we have a lot of rising air in general across that region. You can also see the usual afternoon thunderstorms across portions of northern South America, Venezuela, and Colombia for sure. However, if we turn our attention to the northeastern Caribbean's Doppler radar right now, let's see if it can load up for me. Is it gonna load? Doesn't seem like it wants to load. But if we take a look at the weather wave Doppler radar images, we can see as usual portions of western Puerto Rico definitely gotten on there. Fear of afternoon thunderstorms for sure today. We don't see much happening elsewhere in and around Puerto Rico. But alright, so here it goes. If we take a look right now, we can definitely see some isolated showers as we speak in and around the Leeward Islands as represented by the greens. Keep in mind that this latest image just came out at 7:55 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Considering that it's what 7:57 p.m. so this just came out 2 minutes ago, and we can definitely see the rainfall in and around portions of the waters around the Leeward Islands. Some rainfall right now affecting portions of western Puerto Rico, and they definitely got on some of that rainfall today. You can also see some rainfall across the Dominican Republic. Regarding the Barbados radar, the rainfall that was affecting the island yesterday regarding the trough has now shifted northward. We see most of the moisture right there to the east of Guadeloupe, to the northeast of Dominica. Some moisture still lingering right there to the east of St. Lucia as we speak. Definitely making way for drier conditions across the St. Vincent and the Grenadines area, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago as well. And if we go back to the weather view of Doppler radar images, we can see all the moisture right there to the east of Nicaragua associated with that system that the Hurricane Center is watching. We saw that the satellite images, and now we're seeing the Doppler radar images regarding that. We can also see a lot of rainfall across portions of the Yucatan Peninsula right there. Some rainfall across portions of Cuba. Some rainfall right there across portions of northern Venezuela, sections of Colombia as well, even portions of northeastern Venezuela and Guyana too. And that's relates to where the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours. This map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing where it's going to be raining from now up until 10 p.m. on Saturday. And we see the greens, the yellows, the oranges, and reds represent rainfall that are definitely in store for areas like Florida, the Bahamas, Cuba, the Cayman Islands, the Yucatan Peninsula, Belize, Honduras, Nicaragua, El Salvador. Look at all of these purples that represent close to 3 inches of rainfall or more. And that's within the next 24 hours for portions of El Salvador, sections of Nicaragua, western Nicaragua, portions of Costa Rica, section of Panama getting in on some rainfall, Colombia, Venezuela. Not much for Guyana, Suriname, or French Guyana. Don't see that much on the GFS for Guyana. Don't see that much for majority of the Windward Islands, as we see more whites than anything else. But anywhere from Martinique northward, maybe Dominica, Guadeloupe, portion of the Leeward Islands, section of Puerto Rico, Haiti, the Dominican Republic as well. And we see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus with this forecast. I know that when they're in consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.